Pre-K. Today we are going to be learning about how to retell a story. Okay, so the way that I want you to think about retelling a story is thinking of a roller coaster. So a roller coaster is a ride that you can get on, and when you first get on, that would be called the beginning. Okay, so this is when you first sit down in your seat. In a story, the author, which is the person that tells the story, at the beginning of the story, they tell us who the characters are. Remember, characters are the people in the story or the animals in the story. And they tell you the setting. So that is where the story takes place. So it could be taking place at a house, or it could be in a garden. And then, as the story goes on, the roller coaster also goes on, right? And then we get all the way up to the very top, and then we get to the middle part of the roller coaster, or the middle part of the story. So if you notice, this little girl has a sad face on there because she's at the very top and there's a problem. Okay, so there's another sad face to represent the story, what's going on that's causing an issue, what is making the characters feel sad, or what's something that's going on that the other characters have to try to solve. Okay, so when you think about a roller coaster at the very top, that could kind of be scary because you're about to go all the way down. So that's why I put this problem at the very top, because as you go all the way down, you end the ride. And that's similar to like when you finish reading the book, all the way at the end is when you are done and you found the solution. So that means you fixed the problem, and that's why the little girl is smiling. So usually at the end of a story, you find a solution and then the problem is solved, and then you get off of the ride on the roller coaster. So boys and girls, what we are going to be doing, we are going to be looking at this book called The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. We have read this before in our classroom. And so we're going to go ahead and talk about the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. Okay, so the beginning, again, that's when you first get on the ride. Okay, so that's the first page in the book, is the beginning. So it tells us once there was a tree. So we know the setting. That's somewhere in a forest, maybe somewhere outside, because you wouldn't see a tree like this inside the home, right? And then the character, well, we don't see any characters yet. We don't see animals, or we don't see like humans, but maybe it could be the tree. Okay, I'm gonna turn the page, and then it says, and she loved a little boy, and you see a foot here, and then there's a little boy. So far we know that it takes place outside. There's a tree, and then there's a little boy. Okay, so that's the beginning of our story, and now we're gonna go all the way up. We're gonna go up to the top and to the middle. And what I like to do when I'm looking for the middle, this book, it's kind of thick, so what you could do is kind of try to pretend like you're cutting the book in half and try to find a spot somewhere in the middle. Okay, that's how you can divide it. And so when you're reading the book, you're gonna start thinking about like, okay, what happened that's a problem? What is making the characters feel sad? So I did try to see where the middle of the book was. And then again, when you're reading the book, you can kind of think about, okay, what's the problem in the story? And so I'm gonna go ahead and read that to you, the middle part. It says, it's talking about the boy. It said, but time went by, and the boy grew older, and the tree was often alone. So that would be the problem in the story. The boy used to go to the tree all the time at the beginning of the story. The boy used to swing from the branches. He used to have such a good time with the tree. And when the boy got older, he didn't show up anymore. And then the tree was very sad and lonely. So that is the middle part, the problem. And then after that, you go down the roller coaster all the way down to the very end, and then you find your solution. And then the end will be on the last page in the book. Sometimes it's not the very last page, it could be the last couple of pages, which might be like the last 2 pages or the last few pages, because you would have to read it to determine what's happening at the end, what is the solution. So I'm going to go ahead and read the last couple of pages. I don't need very much now. And said the boy, just a quiet place to sit and rest. I am very tired. Well, said the tree, straightening herself up as much as she could. Well, an old stump is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down and rest. And the boy did. So before, the boy in the middle of the story, he wasn't showing up anymore, and the tree was very sad. And then later in the story, the boy ends up cutting down different pieces of the tree because he needs them for his home or for other things. And so at the end, there's only a stump, but the boy ends up sitting down on the stump, and then the tree was happy. The end. So in the end, the tree became happy again because the boy was spending time with the tree. So even though in the middle of our story, the tree was very lonely because the boy wasn't there, things happened. They went down to the end, which is where the boy gets to sit on top of the stump of the tree, and then the tree is happy. So then that's the end of our story. Okay? So boys and girls, again, this is how to retell a story. So you tell us the very beginning. Remember, that's the characters I told to us, the setting, and then after that you learn more about the story. Then you have the middle, there's a problem, and then you go down your roller coaster, you keep reading your book, and then at the end of your book, then you have a solution, and what that means is you found a way to fix it. Okay? See you later, pre-K.